Hello guys, my name is Jerin and I'm a BSc Physiotherapy student who I'm joined with Shahina, Sarah and Yestin, and we're going to describe to you what an education placement is. So an education placement, we're going to talk to you about in a structured way. There's going to begin with the project objectives, what an education placement is, what perspectives and feedback we gained, and what the recommended models were. So we're going to first pass it over to Sarah, who's going to talk to you about the project objective.
So for our 6-week leadership placement, we were given a group project to scope out and research education placements in order to gain an understanding of what they are, what they mean for students and educators, and the benefits for student development throughout the journey, not just the end goal. We aim to find out how a variety of previously executed education placements have been structured, how the students and educators had found them, and what their tips were for future participants. We were to identify the links between education placements and students' future clinical practice. With the information and the research gathered, we were given the task of making 2 information tabs on a pre-created website. One tab designed for students who wants to find out about education placements, maybe because they're partaking in one themselves, and the other tab for educators or supervisors for this type of placement. We were to interview a variety of practice educators, allied health professionals and students to gain an insight to their understanding, perspectives, opinions and feedback regarding education placements to gain the information relevant for our website. We had to ensure we presented our relevant findings and progress through the journey and understanding the greater picture of education placements, and ensure we have continued personal and professional development throughout our interactions and reflections throughout the course of our placement. Initially, our instinct was to Google, what is an education placement? The results were very, very minimal, leaving us very in the dark. This leads us on to the next slide.
So what is an education placement? An education placement is practice-based learning that focuses on the facilitation of learning in an educational setting. As Sarah mentioned there was a lack of information on Google Scholar, and this meant that we had to recruit interviews, and we got different educators from different universities, and they all had varying structure, but their principles are the same in the way that the most important aspect of these education placements is the facilitating of the learning and the ability to distill wider knowledge down and be able to use your teaching skills and tailor them to students' different learning styles to maximize the learning. The thing that people did differently was more around which level of student they taught and how they taught them, whether that be leading the session or being a second source of support other than a lecturer. An example of these placements can be seen from Coventry and Worcester universities, who set up a joint placement where students were sent to either university to lead level 4 lectures. These sessions were observed by the lecturers, and this gave students a real feel of how it is to be an educator, being responsible for yourself and also being responsible for someone else's learning. The students then joined in with the feedback, giving further insight from both sides. Inclusivity in this placement is important, and this placement is just like the conventional placements that have been running. Some will find it harder than others, but the opportunity is still the same, and hard work is what will make you successful. Cherry picking students to do these placements will not be helpful for the development of the placements, and also could hinder the development of the students by not offering certain ones this opportunity. These placements have value in all areas of physiotherapy in our case, and across AHPs. And this value can be seen through relating all of your learning back to the 4 pillars that you can see on the screen. For example, being able to pass across information that may come second nature to you to someone that has much less of an understanding is a common occurrence when educating people about their rehab journey and how they go about it in a clinical healthcare setting.
This would bring us to the perspectives and feedback that we had to gain from educators and students. We learned that we needed their perspective and feedback to understand what the journey was for education placement. So my section was student section, and I had to get feedback, which a majority of them were saying, would I recommend the placement to others? They were saying yes. They learned skills that were transferred to both clinical practice and future learning. However, there were also some perspectives that they couldn't understand, which was difficulty in understanding the links to placement aims and objectives. And they came in very narrow-minded. However, they've been on a placement like this that helped them understand the wider perspective of my profession. So, and Sarah had the opportunity to do the educator section, and then Sarah's going to explain to you that bit.
So when we spoke to some of the educators, we also gained feedback from them about their personal experiences about it all and how they found it went. So one said it was exciting as a new venture and a new opportunity, and it's a really exciting thing to do and really innovative. Someone said initially we were trying to peel the students off the ceiling, trying to convince them that they do have the knowledge to teach other people because they didn't believe they did have it themselves. Someone said they wouldn't have been able to run some of their modules without the help from the students alongside them from the education placements. Someone said that it emphasises the importance of educating our clients, which helps us to develop students' understanding of how other people learn and interpret when they're giving information to patients.
So here are a few examples of some recommended models that supervisors can use in an educational placement. They are 2-to-1, which is two students, one supervisor, 4-to-1, 4 students, 1 supervisor, peer learning, shared learning, long arm supervision, and collaborative learning, which is 2 or more students, 1 daily educator and 1 extra educator. Traditionally, in learning institutions, the 2-to-1 model has been used. However, this has since changed, and we are now using the 2-to-1 or the 4-to-1 model, and in some cases, the 6-to-1. Positive outcomes for using the 2-to-1 and 4-to-1 are there are additional learning opportunities through joint problem-solving tasks. There's mutual support between the students and companionship. And there's reduced dependency on supervisors. Peer learning. Peer learning can be defined as people of similar social groups who are not professional teachers, helping each other by teaching. This model can be used between students or qualified professions at different stages of the training. So for example, a year 3 physio student can be helping out a year 1 student. And there's also literature to support the success, the benefits of these. And this is increased student satisfaction, helps build professional identity, builds confidence, and prepares students for the future role. The next one is the shared one, multi-professional. And these are small discussion groups of multi-professional students, for example, across the AHP. These are usually task or problem-based. They use the combined expertise and experience and individual perspective of each member to develop a theme, make decisions, or decide a course of action. The benefits are the students are better prepared for teamwork and collaboration after they qualify. They can learn how to give and receive constructive criticism from peers, emphasises similarity and areas of crossover in disciplines. The next one is the long arm one. The long arm practice supervision refers to the process of supporting students in placements in line with professional body requirements. This model requires a supervisor to be located at a distance to the clinical practice, and this would most likely be remotely. This gives a chance for the student to build up independence, but can easily be within reach of his or her supervisor. The next one is a collaborative one. This is the one that we were doing in our placement. So a collaborative model is where there is a 2-to-1, 4-to-1 model with an educator and a co-educator. So we had the experience of this one. We had the elements of peer support, our 2 educators, and a well-organised timetable. We had weekly catch-ups, feedback sessions as a project group, one-on-ones with our educator, one-on-ones with our co-educator, and group catch-ups with our main educator. The most important part of selecting a supervisor model is to ensure that the model works for the service, the team, and the student. This means whichever model you pick should be reviewed regularly to ensure educators, supervisors, and assessors are supported in supervising students effectively. And that brings us to the end of this presentation. I'm going to hand you over to Jerin.
So this would bring us to the last part of the presentation. We just wanted to say there's also a website that we've created for you guys to understand what the journey of being on an education placement is. This would help you. But we as a group, we just wanted to say thank you all for listening, and that is it, the end of the presentation.